Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and returning today is Bo Polny. He's been on CNBC. He's been all over YouTube. You've seen him here on the Daily Truth Report, and he is one of our most requested guests, and he's back today to talk about a wild month of October and even crazier November coming up. So as the calendar ticked over into October, we had to have him back on. Bo, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Noah. Appreciate it. And as always, you have one of the premier websites out there, just one of the greatest websites. Thank you for all your dedicated work. You do not quit. You just keep going and going. You're a machine, Noah, and God bless all of your work. So keep going.
Well, you too, Bo. I get your daily updates, or not, they're not daily, but every other day you send out updates with your service. And we're going to talk about that later in the interview, but we love getting those, and I know so many of my readers get your updates as well. So we always love to see, anytime I get an email that says there's an update from Gold 2020 forecast, I stop what I'm doing and I click in to read it. So and Bo, we love having you on the show to talk to us. You have a paid service, but you take your time out to do an interview with us for 30 minutes or 60 minutes, and that means a lot. So thanks for being here. And you have some incredible slides to show us today. As always, these things are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. And Bo, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you take us through kind of where you want to start? But we're heading into quite a time period, aren't we?
Absolutely, Noah. We're at a point in the world where we've been waiting for this moment in time where God brings upon his vengeance. It's like God is love, and then God is also judge, and he is about to judge the world. It's like at a point, I did an interview yesterday, and I think that something very prophetic came to me as I was speaking. And the main idea is that, and it relates to directly a biblical event called the Red Sea moment. The Red Sea moment can best be described as Israel pinned up against the Red Sea, Pharaoh's army attacking, and they're coming at Israel with swords. And Israel states to Moses, 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 why have you brought us here to die? Does that sound familiar?
Yes,
Do
it
your
does.
viewers feel like you're pinned up against the sea or maybe a wall, and you have no options? They're coming at you with needles, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And
They're going to fire you from your job?
Yeah, it's like it's a religion, it's a belief of what your belief system is now versus your job, versus your income. Family members are coming against one another. Like, why wouldn't you get it? Why would you get it? It's like, it's whether we're pinned up against the wall, they're coming at us with needles, right? And the world is like, what are we supposed to do? And they're hopeless. There's no hope. My really good friend Lois Vogel Sharp, she basically said it. God appears at the last moment in time when there's no hope left, when you're at such an extreme point in life that it's all over, and then God appears and a miracle happens. But miracles don't happen in the early stages of anything, right? So when Israel is pinned up, just like us, we're up against the sea, we're up, and just no hope. The system is just coming against all of the people of the world. You just turn any YouTube on or any show, and it just shows, the citizens against the police, and the police being supported by the government, telling the government's telling the police what to do. And it's just like this, it's this massive battle going on right now. But the reason is because this is peace taken from the earth. This is the second seal, the second horseman. But we're at that point and we're hopeless. And what are we supposed to do? They're coming at us with the jabs, and it's just a horrible point in time. And then what does Moses say? Stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord, for he will work for you, for us today. We are at this moment in time where we are going to see the hand of God intervene. And why does it have to be like this? Because the glory of what's going to happen is not going to go to any individual, any man, anybody. When this event goes down, just like it did in the time of the Red Sea, when that Red Sea opened, Noah, Everybody knew it was God who did it. Everybody. If you were there watching that go down, there's only one possibility. God is God. God is real. And God just opened the sea for us. And secondly, when the Israel crossed and then Pharaoh chased them into that sea, when that sea closed, I tell you another thing, Noah, everybody knew that God was God because that sea did not close on Israel. It closed on Pharaoh and his army, and they were dead. So that is the point. We are pinned up against the sea. We feel like we're hopeless, but the Christians, the prophets that are refusing to budge, they are like Moses, and they're saying, stand still and watch the salvation of our Lord, for he will work for us today.
That's really good, Bo.
So that is what I can tell you. We are pinned up. The swords are nothing more than needles. It is the same event. And how strong are your feet in that ground? Stand still, because we are going to see something epic, something biblical, something truly one of the greatest moves of God's Spirit ever in the history of this world, Noah. And we are this close to these events going down. And as the title says on page 1, what began in November of last year ends in November 2021. And Isaiah 61 says this is the year of the Lord's favor, which began on September 6th, Rosh Hashanah. But this will be the day of his vengeance, just like the Red Sea moment was. The Red Sea moment was a day, and it was over. There will be one day coming, and it is over for these people. So that's what I have to say, or at least as a starting point. Go ahead.
That's quite a starting point.
Wow.
And Bo, we've talked about this before, but it's such a good point that you bring up, and I want to stay on this for a minute because we have over 6 million readers a month at our website. With 300,000 people get my newsletter every night. So I get a lot of feedback and I get a lot of emails from people, and I can tell people are feeling like they're at their absolute wit's end. They feel like it's been going on forever. It's been month after month after month, and they're getting tired, and they feel everything closing in, just like it must have felt when those chariots were closing in, and there was nowhere to run because there was a sea behind you, and you can't go through that. And so, but it's so important what you just said, that when this finally happens on that one day, it needs to be very clear that there were no other options. It couldn't have been Mike Pence decertifying the election. It couldn't just be the Supreme Court. It couldn't even be Trump himself doing something, because then all the credit goes to Trump, or it goes to Pence, or it goes to the Supreme Court. There's a reason it had to go like this. And there's another reason too, that I have noticed in the past, just maybe 30 to 60 days, that a lot of people, my friends that I talk to that really don't follow a lot of this stuff, they're starting to come to me and say, hey, that stuff you've been telling me, I'm starting to see that in the news now, or I'm starting to actually see that happening. Tell me more about that. And so people are waking up, and there had to be that wake up moment, didn't there?
Absolutely. It's just the point where our God, my God, is a loving God, and he's a jealous God. And what that means is he loves his creation. He created us. He loves us, and he will judge us one day, but he's a loving, judging father. But the other end of the coin is he's jealous, which means that there are no other gods before him. So for us to make Trump a god on this earth, there are no other gods before our Father. So Trump is a man doing the anointed work of God, for God, but he is not a God. And any other man too. So the point being is that God wants the glory, because he wants his bride, his church, his people, his creation. God wants his creation to love him as he loves us. And it's all about love. And so it started in the Garden of Eden. We're heading back to the Garden of Eden. But there's one problem. evil, Satan, was led onto the earth. And so we're watching things unfold. But what's unfolding is nothing more that's been planned out by God. Because in the end, he wins. We know the story. We know how it ends because God does nothing before first speaking through his servants, the prophets. And not that I'm a prophet, but there are many out there, but I do get prophetical things, I believe. I do know that my analysis lines up with many to most of the true prophets of this world. So I just tell you through discernment, listen to what I say, but I analyze. I am an analyst of his time. And so the presentation today has some really important time windows that I believe are important for the world. That's why I bring up November, because it's a 360-degree cycle, which started last year, back in November. So all I know is that our God is a jealous judge, is jealous, and he wants no other gods before him. And that's one of the commandments. So take it away, Noah.
That's one of the big ones, isn't it? Let's talk about the timeline, because it is now October, and we're looking at your first slide there. And once again, Bo, these are absolutely beautiful slides. Your slide number 1 there, November 2020 to November 2021. That seems to be the key time period. We're in October right now. Just yesterday, the White House was lit up in red. I found that very interesting. I don't know if you saw that. We posted that on our website. And of course, a couple people write back and say, well, no, it's just for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But it looked red to me, not pink. So we'll see what happens there. But all of the prophets, like you're talking about, I've been hearing all of them say that it's going to be a very red October, meaning, and that means a couple different things. It's a tie-in to The Hunt for the Red October, the old movie, and you can go back and read that plot. And then it also means the red tsunami. It means red, the good guys back in control. So we're in October right now.
Red Sea.
Oh, Red Sea, perfect.
That's, the blood of Jesus, right? It's like, remember, why was the Red Sea red? Because when it closed, the Red Sea separated Israel and Pharaoh. Okay, so there's a reason it was called the Red Sea.
Wow. Well, so Bo, walk us through it. We're in October. It's going to be a red October. It sure looks like. What does October mean for us, and what does November mean? I remember we talked about last time when you were on the show. We talked about the old hypnotic November from Kim Clement. There's a lot of talk about November being one of these months where there's going to be so much coming out that you're almost not going to know how to react to it. You're going to be you're just going to be stunned as you watch all of these things one after another. Secrets revealed, stuff uncovered. So tell us about November. Tell us about October. You've got your first 5 slides here are fantastic. Maybe we can just walk through them, but there is a lot coming, and I'll turn it over to you to take us through it.
Sure. No, I would say the starting point would be slide 1. There's a lot on that slide, but ultimately, it says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So thy kingdom is God's kingdom. Thy kingdom come. God's bringing his kingdom to earth. And so as the kingdom is approaching, evil is going cuckoo crazy. They're freaking out. And so November is supposed to be, the pivotal time point for many of the things to culminate. And so hypnotic November is hypnotic for many people who are realized that they were in a trance all their life, and all these truths are coming out. And I believe the truths are going to come out are going to be so horrible. People are can't believe that this actually was going on, and they didn't know that this was really happening. And imagine when these people find out, who much of the world, who's going to find out that the thing they got in their arm is not even close to what they thought it was. You posted on some of your on your website, about that one Ukrainian boy who literally got it, and then 8 hours later is dead.
So sad.
So sad. And there's another article that you posted about, a lady got it, her aunt died, and then 6 months later she goes for a hike and she just, dies
Yes.
on a hike. I was just reading these articles a couple of days on your site. My
Yeah.
point being is when people start to find out that what this did to them, that they're now basically have something that's basically horrible in them, they are going to be, I would suspect, knowing what they willingly did to themselves because they, were asleep, are going to be praying like you've never prayed before to be covered in the blood of Christ to undo, because there's only one solution to what was done to you. It's called the blood of Christ, the blood of Jesus. That blood, that one word of Christ is going to cause so many people this fall season into winter to fall to their knees and just pray. And like I've said before, this will be the greatest spiritual uprising or revival in human history this Thanksgiving, or at least the start of it. Why? Because I think when people find out the truth, they are all going to fall to their knees, Noah, and they are going to pray for forgiveness and to be covered by the blood of Jesus for what they did to themselves. So
Wow.
that is go ahead.
It's bad enough when you find out that you took something like that and then you learn the truth about it. I think it's going to be even worse. You see, what's the big push right now? The big push is you got to get it into the little kids, the elementary school kids. Yeah. And I think as sick as people are going to be when they find out what happened to them, it's going to be even worse when they realize they gave it to their kids.
Well, exactly. Could you imagine the weight on your shoulders as a parent when you find out what you did to your kids? Like, holy mackerel, right? And then you find out, well, who would want to do something that evil? Well, the answer is Satan. He hates God's creation. So he wants everybody dead. Like, that's the truth. You don't believe me? Go read the Georgia Guidestones. Who would write something so demonic? Population of 500 million when there's 7 or something plus billion on the earth. Like, this is just sick. But who would do it? Someone who hates God's creation. And then how did all of this start? This is actually what I want to bring to your readers' attention, because this is so critical. Like, why? Why are we here? How did all of this start? How did all of this start? And the answer to that, I have, if you want to scroll over to go to page 2 just briefly. I just want you, we've all seen that movie Wizard of Oz, okay? You have to understand, it states in the Bible, on earth as it's on earth as it is in heaven. You know that Satan was in heaven, or actually his name then was Lucifer. He was in heaven, thrown out of heaven for rebelling against God. Him and a third of the angels were thrown out, cast to earth. Lucifer developed, then was given the name of Satan. So my one simple question, just a little wake up to all of your viewers who maybe not awake just yet. Where did media, or where did Hollywood get the idea of yellow brick road? Well, maybe if Satan resided in heaven before he was cast out, maybe he got that idea in heaven because all of the streets are paved by gold in heaven. So the reason for that simple movie, for the yellow brick road, is because that idea of yellow brick road, gold road, the roads of all the streets of heaven are paved with gold. And that's stated in Revelation 21:21, page 1. And the streets of the city was pure gold. And we are in end time, so heaven is coming to earth. And the reason I bring up gold is because I want to scroll to page 3 to answer the question for you and your viewers. Why? Why are we here? How did we get here? How did all of this happen? And the easiest and the simplest answer, any one of your viewers can Google this, okay? It's the word of Rothschild. And he stated, "Let us control the money of the country, and we care not who makes its laws."
Very famous quote.
Very famous quote. And then you take the Bible, open the Bible up, 1 Timothy 6:10. 6:10. What does that state? And for the love of money is a root of all sorts of evil. And some, by longing for it, have wandered away from faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. So the root of all evil, the whole cause, the why of this problem is because of money. The United States took the dollar, detached it from gold with Nixon. We've spoken about this 50 years ago. They've had the ability to create money to infinity. And what did Rothschild say? Hey, if I have the ability to print as much money as I want, I can control everything. I could care less about the laws. Do you see what's going on right now? Guess what they're trying to do? Destroy the Constitution. Why? Because that's a law. It's a belief system that we have. So back to the money system. The money system is corrupt. It's based on fiat, which is in fact fractional reserve banking, basically not even printed anymore. They just create zeros out on these computers to run the world. This monetary system, the fiat monetary system, has now like a locust spread across the entire world, and every single country is using a paper-based or fiat-based money system. The whole system is a fraud. The entire system is going to burn. Staying on page 3, the important part of why? Because the money system, if you have the ability to create as much money, guess what you can do? You can pay off anybody and everybody that you want. So you control the financial system. Guess what? You can control the church. You can control what they say in the church and what they're allowed to say or not allowed to say in the church. And if you don't, they pull your 501c3. There's a lot of, they can throw pastors in jail because if they don't agree with certain things. So they can control the church. When you control the church, you can also control the family. Why? Because you keep the money supply keeps expanding, the home prices keep expanding, and next thing you know, the wife's got to go to work. And guess what? Now the husband and the wife are both working, and the kids are home by themselves. So who's taking care of the kids? The state. Right. The government. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Government, who basically has the ability to create this money out of thin air and keep controlling it. And then government, what do? Oh, they control the media, but better that for the kids, they control the education system. What do? They have a indoctrination council. All the schools have curriculums that are all reviewed. They've got it all pre-programmed what you can and cannot learn within the schools. So everything is structured. So they control the education system, and then they've infiltrated the government. The government itself is now controlling the military, and look what just happened out east. You see what I'm saying? It's just that was a plan. Whatever the plan was, everything is controlled via money. And then you can control the media. You don't believe me? Well, look what's happening with all these people that are getting deplatformed, right? They're controlling the narrative. They control, they have all the news stations, right? So then you got the social media with Twitter and Facebook. So the point being is that money has infiltrated everything and then right into Hollywood, which they basically can make any and all movies they want to make. And talk about like demonic movies. 9 out of 10 movies you go see in Hollywood now, they're all like a demon, people getting shot, killed, explode. It's just sick, So the point being, the money system is infiltrated anything and everything, and all the top positions now are controlled. And now guess what you got? Well, look around. We are pinned up against the Red Sea, and they're coming at us with swords. This is how it's happened because of the money system. So that
it explains why every time you think, even when you have a 5-4 split of conservatives on the Supreme Court, the rulings never seem to go the right direction, and this explains it.
It's because it's all everything's bought and paid for in any way, shape, or form. However, whatever their angle is, everything's bought and paid for, and that is the problem. And that takes us all the way over to page 6, if you can click to that. But in essence, it's the story that goes all the way back to Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so from the creation and Adam and Eve, then you have the rise of these kingdoms. Well, you'll know that Nebuchadnezzar had this dream, and then Daniel comes in, and Daniel was one of the most elite prophets, of the Old Testament. And, he described the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. Now, we've talked about this before. My simple point on this is, you see that giant standing? That's Babylon. That is all the kingdoms. And all these kingdoms were described 2,500 years ago before they ever existed. The only thing that existed at the time was the head of gold was Babylon. The rest of the body didn't exist. Okay. And I mean, all the other kingdoms haven't, and now they've all existed. That is just beyond the reason God described that dream and gave that dream to Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel to describe, because God wanted to show that he is God, because no other entity in the world could have given a prophecy of over 2,500 years to the accuracy of what this was done. God wanted to show the world that he is God, and only he can create prophecy that stands a test of time of 2,500 years in relation to kingdoms. It's
absolutely incredible,
right? So now you've got this statue standing, but the problem is that the statue is why we have the problem. Babylon's still standing. And that takes me to page 5, which is kind of scrolling though. So page 5 talks about Daniel 2:34. And it says, and as you looked, a rock, was cut out of no human hands, and it struck the image at its feet of iron and clay and broke it to pieces. So I've mentioned this before too, but the statue, until that statue falls, Noah, they are in power. And the army is coming at you. So the statue must fall. But who takes down the statue? Like I said, our God is a jealous God. No man can take down that statue, only God. And that is the point of this. It's gotten to the extreme that until that statue goes down, nothing changes. And the world feels like it's hopeless, but it was done intentionally because God wants to wake up as many people as possible before the glory arrives. Now, let me tell you, when that Red Sea opened, that was the glory of God, okay? I don't know what that would be like because I wasn't there, but to see like the precision of everything that happened and then it closed, that's the glory. So we're going to see something greater than that. We're going to see the glory of God here on this earth very soon. But when that event happens, that's the fall and fall. So United States will fall. The United States, again, repeat, will fall, but only to rise again and be a beacon of light for all the world to see again. But the United States is going to fall this fall, and it will be horrible. People will be freaking out. So I would say November is going to be just horrendous for many people here in the United States. But it's the death to life thing. Those that are Christian know, in order to become a true Christian, you first, like when Christ got baptized, he went down in the water, he fell down, and he came back up. That's what a baptism is, so you die and then you're reborn spiritually.
So this is the wipeout, Bo. This is a wipeout. It's the death to life cycle. But when you say the United States will fall, you're not saying it's going to fall and go away and never to be seen again. You mean we're going to wipe out this Goliath statue, and then we're going to rebuild on a solid foundation?
Not so much rebuild. It's just heaven is going to be coming to earth. So we are going to be rebuilding to a degree, yes, but it's going to be, I would say that too. But the best way to describe it's going to be built on a kingly foundation, based on a kingdom economy. So the answer to your question specifically is, well, first off, the slide behind, what does that say behind me? If you want to take a big picture of zoom back out for a second, but what does that say in the blue?
One nation founded under God will fall, then will be reborn to shine once again as a beacon of light for all the world to see.
Correct. So that is the best description of what I can give you as to what is coming. Okay. So the United States must fall, must die, and then needs to be reborn. That is the whole point of how this is going to play out. So it looks hopeless when, could you imagine what this is going to be like when all the truths come out and how, scary this is going to end up looking? But that's the essence of the whole scenario, how this must play out, and that biblically is like a 4-2-1 cycle, how this is going down. But ultimately, when we are reborn, we're going to be reborn, or we're going to come back to life. This is critical, Noah. We come back to life. What was the root of all the problem in the first place, Noah?
Money.
The money system was the root of all the problems. So how do you fix the problem? You fix the money. So the money system will be backed by God's money, gold, silver, copper, palladium, platinum. So, precious metals, but truly it could things of the earth. But most importantly, it's going to be backed by the two precious metals, specifically gold and more specifically even silver. But those were the two precious items that will back the new monetary system. And who better to bring back the monetary system to life will be number 45. Okay. And so that's the essence of how this all works. Even if he did come back in, and this is what I was saying in the pre-interview, even if Trump was in there right now, the problem is, please scroll to page number 3. And this is what the viewers need to really understand. If Trump was in there right now, okay, so item 5 is government military. Okay. So fantastic. He's in charge of the government, the military. Well, guess what? When he was in charge of the government military, what was the media doing? What was Hollywood doing? What were they doing to him? They were just coming after him like there's no tomorrow. The reason being is because they still controlled 6 and 7. Do you understand that? So the whole thing has to come crumbling down. And how do you take it down? You take it down by destroying the world reserve currency and then the fiat money system itself too, because the whole fiat money system is the root of all evil. And then you back the fiat, you back the new kingdom economy. And if you can scroll that over to page 11, the kingdom economy is an economy backed by God's money. It's not only backed, it's built on God's money. So when the kingdom comes, thy will be done. Thy kingdom's going to be built on a money system that is solid as rock. It's a gold, silver based money system. And that foundation, then the world can then build, and the kingdom will be built upon that. But read what it says in the top left-hand corner. Coming, there'll be a moment in time when the currency systems we know will totally fail. So in this decade, I mark my words, in this decade, the money system that we are using will completely fail. Completely. It will totally fail. And the only thing left at that point will be God's money, gold and silver, and maybe cryptocurrencies, but you got to be careful about that, in the future. But the point being is that the critical thing to understand is the money system will be that we're using, that we're involved in, will be no more. Why? Because that will be the old era. And we're stepping into a new era. And what does a new era bring? If you can scroll over to that on page 18. Page 18 talks about the new era. The new era, I believe is going to really start to take power here in November because that's 360 degrees. And then so the new kingdom will be a new financial system founded on God's money, a new church. What does a new church mean? Well, mean probably, forget the football games. We're going to have stadiums packed with people, chanting the name Christ. So that's a revival. So a new church, new family system, new education system, new government, new media, new social media, new Hollywood, new entertainment, maybe no Hollywood, new name, but new names, new entertainment, new artists. So that's the new era. So that is the essence of how this is all playing out, Noah. It's God is bringing his kingdom to earth, but it takes time. And then ultimately the epical moment is when the return of Christ, but we're only building that. We're in the baby stages of that right now, before the return of Christ, because that's still years coming. Go ahead, Noah.
Well, in fact, before we go to this slide, I want to go back to your slide number 4, because I don't want to miss this. This is a great slide you put in here. And you were talking about how far does this all go back and what's the source of this? And you've got a slide here with Cliff High, and maybe we can splice in this 1-minute clip that you have here because it's really good.
In the woo world, we understand that the space alien bug that controls the deep state, that has caused all this to happen, that has brought us to this point, that the bug has been working on humans at least for a known 6,000 years. The cult that is going to be exposed is known to be 6,000 years old.
Cliff has been doing some great work over on his channel, over on BitChute, Cliff High. And I know a lot of our readers and followers follow Cliff and like what he's putting out. And obviously you put that in your slide presentation, Bo. So shout out to Cliff, by the way. We're trying to get Cliff on the show. So Cliff, come on the show. We want to talk to you. But Bo, you put this slide in here, and Cliff has been saying, we all come at this with different views. And I really love what you do, Bo, because you go on a bunch of different shows. And I just watched your interview with Jean-Claude over at Beyond Mystic a couple of days ago. That was a great interview, really great job. And I love the way, they have a little bit different worldview over there, and they look at mystics and and fortune tellers and remote viewers and all this stuff. And that's not the worldview you have or I have. But I love when you go on that show, Bo, because you bring the biblical perspective to it and you connect the dots for them. And a lot of times you tell them, hey guys, you're using different terms here, but let me tell you where the real truth is on this. And I love how you do that. So nice job on that, Bo. And then the same thing with Cliff. Cliff had this great quote that you put in your slide. He said, there's going to be this secret cult exposed that's 6,000 years old. Well, what does that sound like?
Exactly.
And Cliff calls it the bug, or the bug up in the sky, because that's the only words he can put on it. He doesn't have the biblical truth behind it. I love that you put this slide in here, because everyone is starting to circle around the same truth, and it's all going to come out. Go ahead and take a minute and talk about this slide, because I thought it was so good you put this in here.
Well, I want to give great credit to Cliff. He's a genius. He's a very smart man. He probably runs the most accurate data mining service in the world. So that's the credit you got to give to this. So people who don't know who he is, his work is beyond crazy awesome. Okay. The point being is that his data mining, what does he mine? He mines words. Well, what do prophets do when they speak? They speak words. What does it say in the Bible? My word will not go void. So it's really fascinating, because, this very smart man basically picked up data that basically shows, his data says that all of these cumulative events can be traced back to 6,000 years old. Well, go back to all of our presentations, all the slides, everything we've talked about for the past couple of years. And I've had these slides on the left side there. I've shown how this is from creation, we have the 4,000 years of the Jews. We have 2,000 years now of the Gentiles, and then we're heading into the 1,000 year of millennial reign. But right now, we're not at that yet. So we're at the end of the 2,000. So 4,000 plus 2,000 equals 6,000 years old. So the point being, all these people who are doing spiritual things, or trying to tap into entities and speak to different things, the point being is that goes back to the statue of Daniel I showed earlier. Okay, God, since creation and the entering of evil onto this earth, has created a 6,000 year story that ends with 1,000 years of peace with Christ, with the royal wedding. Okay. So God created a 6,000 year story. We are living at the end of the 6,000 year story. So we're watching crazy go down. The point being is that so all these people, these psychics, the channeling things, everything that they're doing, all they're doing is picking up pieces of a 6,000 year story that was already written. Not to discredit anything what other people are doing, but the point being is, the truth is the truth. The truth is, God is the creator of all things, who also created this whole story that's now 6,000 years old in a nutshell. And the bottom slide there says basically it's a 6,000-year-old battle for Israel. This is what it is. It's all, it's just a battle, and a battle for Israel. And, so you've had, talk about similarities. Israel had 44 kings, and then it fell. Weird. Because the United States had 44 presidents, and then it fell. Weird. And then 44 writes a book about, what was his word? I think he called it a promised land. Yeah, but Israel, right. That's the promised land. You see what I'm saying? What do they want the promised land? Why would he write a book called A Promised Land, right? And if you look deeper in my presentation, which I don't want to get into right now, but this little character comes up again, and it's not going to be good. So I'm just telling you, this is a story that's unfolding, and everything that people, that these other people are using, however they do it, all they're picking up is pieces of a 6,000 year pie.
Yeah. And I love what you do, Bo. And sometimes we get comments on these videos and people say, well, you shouldn't talk about that. Or I wish Bo wouldn't go on Jean-Claude's show and talk to those people.
Before Christ returns, this is the essence of it. Before Christ returns, his name will be spoken across the four corners of the earth. period. And so his name will be known everywhere. And that is the point. So, all I want to do is get the word of Christ to everybody, because that is the truth, and he is love, and that blood of Christ will protect us. So those who are freaked out about the word, about what the world, of what's going on around them, guess what? You're not covered in the blood of Christ how you should be, or you don't have that rock solid foundation. So go ahead, Noah.
No, that's great, Bo. And I just wanted to take a moment to say, you do such a great job with this. It's the old story. It's the story in Acts that you're probably familiar of, when Paul goes into the city of Mars Hill, and he walks around the city, and he realizes they have all these monuments for all of these Roman gods. And then he sees they have one monument, and it says to an unknown God, because they wanted to have one just in case they missed one that they didn't know about. And so he walks into the city and he says, well, let me tell you about this one. I can tell you the real truth. And I think that's what you do when you go on these other shows, Bo. It's really fantastic. And it just reminded me on this slide when you put Cliff up there, and he doesn't even know what to call it other than the bug. And the bug is his version of this 6,000-year-old cult. That's the bad side of things. That's the devil and Lucifer and these fallen angels and the Nephilim. And Cliff's right on the money. It's a 6,000-year-old cult, but he just doesn't know what to call it. And so I love when you bring the truth to these things and tell people, oh, you're so close, but let me tell you the real truth. So just wanted to take a moment and say you're doing a great job on that.
Thank you. I just, I just do what I can, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
I really like this slide here on slide 17. Talk about how we went left, and then how we're going to get a chance to correct that coming up here next month.
Right. So back to the Wizard of Oz, right? So when you the simple story of that, like many people, when we were younger, who watched that story. So it's really interesting, this big battle to get to the, to the city of Oz.
Oz.
OZ ounces, so
how interesting.
And the wizard, meaning Satan, there's the Satan, meaning the wizard means he plays with the money system. He's a wizard of money, right? And he confuses everybody about what money really is. And that's kind of what the whole story is about. And there's deeper story, but the point being is, so you get there, and then they get to the curtain and they open it up. Well, the curtain was actually a circle. I think that was actually very prophetic. That's actually a very interesting point, because so what we've seen is we got to a fork in the road here in November, and the world basically moved away. We had a biblical covenant with God. So since 1776, the United States has had a covenant with God. And it's enforceable by God. And I've read that before on the prior show. So we went in the wrong direction. We went left. We should have gone right. Just the point is, we went in the wrong direction, and that will be the curtain. So now the curtain's been opening up. And what are you seeing behind the curtain? God is showing the world what's behind the curtain.
And it's not good. Yes.
You get it? You get that? God is showing us what's behind the curtain for the last it'll be 360 days come November. He's showing the world what is behind the curtain. Look what's going on around you.
Did you see that clip when Joe got his booster jab? Did you see when I first saw that clip? It looked so fake to me, and I posted online. I said, "This doesn't look real. This looks fake." And then the next day, it was on Fox News. They filmed that whole thing in a set meant to look like the White House. It's all being uncovered right now.
And that's just a piece of this huge, psycho, crazy, demonic pie. You know what I'm saying? So, and you keep looking, all you find is more evil and evil and evil. And so there's so much fake going on, because he's the wizard. He's the wizard. The wizard of, it's just, he's a magician. That's how these evil people do. It's all magic. It's magic. They're wizards. They fake. It's all, none of it's real. It's wizardry. Harry Potter's all wizardry. It's wizards and magic and fake. But all it is it's more fake and fake and fake upon fake. And so they've opened the curtain. God's allowed them to open the curtain. You're seeing what's going on behind the curtain. And I think I know people are never going to forget what they just found, what they've seen, what's behind the curtain. And now they've opened the curtain so much, they've pinned everybody up against the Red Sea, for the slaughter, and there's no hope. but there is hope, because when you believe in Christ, your feet are rock solid in that ground. Stand still and watch the salvation, because my Lord will work for us today, and that is coming. It's going to be powerful, Noah. The 360 degrees was a look behind the curtain. We come back to November, and when all this stuff gets revealed and more truths, all the Goliath has fallen flat on his face in November. The dollar has dropped. The power that they've had to pay all those things off, the bribes, everything start to fall apart. And so the world now goes, we, the people, choose to go in the correct direction. And the veil that was opened is now closed, or now at a point where they can't take it any further, and everything starts going in the opposite direction into the new era, which we've discussed and which God has talked about, that's coming upon this earth. The new era is the new kingdom. So I hope that I've answered your question, but basically,
that's good.
Start November, it's a redo, it's a restart, it's a rebuilding, and then if you scroll over to page 16, which I think we should talk about, which you're there right now actually too.
Yeah.
So we've talked numerous times about why May 26 of this past year was so critically important. You don't need to go to that page, but for your viewers who haven't seen it, all you need to do is you can click on page 13. So you can see why that was such an important time point. But on page 16, going back to that what I got prophetically, which I know was important, was the fact of a protractor and how 90 degrees will play into all of this, what we're involved in right now. So when we hit August 24th, that was tipping point. So that was Goliath finally starting to tip. And what was the event? This is important. What was the event of August 24th? The event of August 24th was a contract that Russia signed with Saudi Arabia. That basically that's a huge event, which no one sees as important, but basically Russia now backs Saudi Arabia. So that was a workaround the contract that the United States had with Saudi Arabia. So that changes the game board. Huge. And then what was the next thing that happened? Well, God showed us, because we know it's now based on the money system. God's going to take down the money system. And because if the money system doesn't fall, nothing changes. So take us to start of Jubilee, which is September 6th. Of this past year. So just 3 weeks ago, the Jubilee started. That was the start of God's new year, the start of the Jubilee year. And what happened on that event? It was a Lehman Brothers. It was a 6 or 8 times the size of Lehman Brothers. It was a $300 billion China Evergrande bonds were halted. So that's the debacle that's now started. That's going to basically start to manifest across the world, because it's a huge problem. And so now we're at the start of the new year, September 6th. Those who read the Bible know that 40 days and 40 nights is a rather epic number within the Bible. Well, 40 days and 40 nights from the start of New Year, so 40 days into the new year, would be October 16th. So just after the middle of October. So cycles tend to indicate that's also a really critical time point. So all I know is that after the middle of October, and then I know that the 90-degree point, because we're talking the statue of Daniel, will be flat on his face by November 22nd. And then 3 days later is Thanksgiving. So we should see a massive fall into November 22nd, and then begins the greatest spiritual harvest in human history, because truths are going to have come out or are coming out between now, particularly I think on or after the 40-day mark, which would take us to starting somewhere around on or after October 16th into November 22nd, and then that statue will be fully upside down by the February 20th of next year. So this statue is falling, and it's just going to accelerate to the downside as we progress into November and then into next year. And remember, all of this is the coming of God's kingdom onto the earth, right? And so the kingdom is going to be based on a financial system of gold. So I've repeated this numerous times, because God's kingdom will rise with his money. So if his kingdom's rising, so is gold and silver. So go ahead, Noah, but I think that kind of describes how important this time window is between, so from the Jubilee start of September 6th, but particularly of importance is on or after October 16th into November 22nd.
Well, that lines up exactly with what a lot of other people have been saying. And I'll go back to Cliff High for a second, because he has been saying that third week in October, which is exactly where you've drawn that red box. He said his data is showing there's going to be a media casualty, and he means a big name completely going out of business. I'm thinking CNN, but we'll just wait and see. So if that red box that you've drawn is that important, that would be the exact time frame for that to happen in Cliff's data. So that's interesting. And then, of course, the hypnotic November from Kim Clement and secrets revealed and all of this stuff that's been hidden for such a long time. When that stuff starts coming out in this window here of your protractor, we're in unprecedented times.
I fully agree. And all I know is that I hope people have listened. I hope people have prepared. It's just one of these things where I don't know how much you can shout from the rooftops. Many people listen, but they don't hear. Many people listen, they hear, but they don't act, right? So you have to do what you have to listen, you have to hear, and then what are you doing about it, right? So what have people done to prepare about it? Those are critical points. Do you have for your family maybe a few weeks of water, maybe a few weeks of food? What if there's a problem and you cannot get food for a while? What if? There's no downside to having extra food and extra water in the house. There is no downside. The other scenario is, financially, okay, so you've taken care of that, but what have you done? We've talked numerous times about being involved in a financial shift if you wanted to. Potentially, when this financial shift happens, God's a multiplier, so massive blessings are going to come to those who have prepared, so then they can help perpetuate what? God's kingdom. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, to perpetuate his kingdom here on earth. You can't perpetuate anything if you don't have any financial means, because the financial means are what they've used for generations to control the heck out of everybody. Key critical words are prepare, and I don't know what else to say about that, Noah.
You've been so generous with your time, and I know we need to bring this to a close, but so many people love hearing your opinion on when we're talking about preparing gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. So let's go right to cryptocurrencies. I'd like to get a little bit of update from you, and I don't want to share too much, but I do want to give a little teaser here, because you have a paid service where you every couple of days you give out a new report with your opinion on what's coming next in terms of turn dates for cryptocurrencies, and I read those, and they have been incredible. The link to this presentation is going to be right below in the comments. Wherever you're watching this, go ahead and get the link. It's free. Bo does the interviews for free. He puts this slide deck out for free, and this is 76 pages that he's giving you for free. So absolutely incredible. I want to just say that I'm a subscriber to your newsletter, and you have been telling us this is historical now, so I'm not giving away anything that people have paid for, but you have been telling people in September, just wait, it's going to go down a little bit. It's going to keep going down. It's not time yet. And sure enough, Bitcoin just kept going down, and it got down to about 41,000. And then you said, as soon as October hits, get ready, because this is when the explosion starts. And man, we went when the calendar hit October 1, we suddenly went from 42,000 all the way up to 48,000 in Bitcoin. And I think you're telling me this hasn't even started yet. So I don't want to give too much more away than that, but why don't you, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes, tell us generally about the cryptocurrency market, and then I've got a question about a specific coin I want to ask you as a follow-up. But when you're talking about preparing, you're talking about the cryptocurrencies front-running gold and silver. So tell us where we're at in the cycle. Is it too late to get in? What can you tell people about cryptocurrencies?
So people understand clearly, I provide a Bitcoin index for profit for people who want to profit from trading cryptocurrencies, okay? I do prophetic work, I do analytic work within the Bible for the world. Currently we're at 76 pages, whatever. That's free for the world, because I want to profess the word of God to the world to know what's coming, and so people can prepare their families for the future. Now, if people want to take my analysis, my cycle work, and profiting from cryptocurrencies, yes, we have a Bitcoin index, which has been, Noah, you'll know this, like incredibly accurate, which is blowing my mind accurate. Last year was incredible. This year, you'll know that since July 12th, our analysis, Bitcoin, if you look at the turns, has had 10 turns. You know for a fact that our analysis has predicted every one of those turns, aside from one, September 6th, we're off by like 2 or 3 days, but every single turn, 9 of 10 turns were predicted to the exact day.
It's been incredible.
Incredible. So we're at 90% plus on accuracy to turns within 24 hours for Bitcoin. I don't think there's an entity out there in the world that can even come close. I don't know how anybody could have that kind of accuracy, and it freaks me out that we're able to do that right now. So it's insane. I did an interview with Jean-Claude, and I scheduled that actually a week and a half ago because I said, Jean-Claude, let's do the interview in the very bottom of this final low for Bitcoin. So I scheduled the interview for Monday, September 27th, because I knew that September 27th into the 28th was a final low for Bitcoin. On the 29th, it turned up on the mark. And then on the 30th, like a couple thousand points. And then yesterday, the first just ripped vertical. So it's like, that's another turn to the mark. So all I can tell you is the Bitcoin index is rather incredible in terms of accuracy. So if people are looking, for what's Bitcoin going to do, what's a cycle it's going to be fantastic. Bitcoin's going to blow through 100,000 this year. And it's going to be like, wow.
This year.
Oh yeah, easy. So it's what's coming is just going to be, wow, in terms of what's coming for cryptocurrencies. Well, remember, because we have, massive events coming upon the earth here really soon. And it all starts in October and then November and then December. So yeah, it's going to be a ride and a half with what's coming. So, yeah, so that's what I can tell you. So, that was a chart that I gave to Jean-Claude, page 71, and basically it says 0.4 low next. Well, that actually was the day of the interview. I just
how funny.
Trying to keep it private for the for the first subscribers. But the next point really was relating to the day of the interview within 24 hours, and it nailed it. Boom, to the mark. And go look at Bitcoin since then. It gets up like $7,000 or $8,000 since that actual interview. So
yes, it has. Yes. And Bo, I'm not a trader. I don't trade in and out. I it's just too much for me to handle, but I love reading your report because I can know maybe when a good time to buy is, and I just buy and hold. And it's just fun to kind of know what's coming. So you don't have to be a trader to get it. And by the way, you don't have to get it at all. If you just like Bo's free information here, enjoy this interview. And we're so glad to have you here. But I get so many emails asking how people can get more information. So for those that want it, if you're a trader or if you just want to know that more detailed information, Bo, I think you've put together a discount for anybody watching this show. You go to gold2020forecast.com. When you get there, you can type in promo code WLT49 right on the screen there, and that's going to give you half off. And so you can get in there, you can try it. I think it's a 14-day trial. And when they get in there, Bo, they can see all the historical reports, right? So you can go back and you can see how accurate this thing was because you can read the reports and you can compare it to what actually happened. And if you like it, stick around. If you don't, then you don't have to continue. Is that about right, Bo?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm very much a proponent of giving my information to people at a very, so they can see what it is. If you're looking to get involved in crypto and you think I can help you, we make it just a very reasonable. Get in there, have a look. If you like it, great, stick around. If you don't, no problem, but I just want to make my information available to people who are the traders or, want to look. So yes, we make it very reasonable and affordable. So for those interested, Noah has that code right there. We've put the code together for Noah. You can use that for 2 weeks. You can have a look as to what I've said for, go back months or years if you want. It's all there. And I don't know that anybody's got our accuracy. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's probably tells you all you need to know that Bo puts all the historical reports there and leaves them up because he's proud of his record and he's proud of what he's published. So that's for the people that want it. And one other thing for the people that want it, maybe this is you, maybe it's not, but I know that I get a lot of emails constantly. Anytime I talk about cryptocurrency, I get emails from people saying, you've convinced me. And by the way, we're not here to convince you of anything. We're not here to give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Bo's not a financial advisor. He's an analyst of time, and I'm a reporter. So neither one of us is a financial advisor, but we're just telling you what's important to us and what we see coming. And we both want to be in cryptocurrencies. And so I get a lot of emails saying, I want to be in cryptocurrencies too. I lived through the .com boom and I saw that and I missed it. And I see this now is going to be the next one. And I want to get on board, but I don't know how. It's confusing to me. It seems very hard. It seems like I might get caught in a scam, or I might do something wrong and lose all my money. And so, Bo, you've heard those same questions, and you and your son have put together what you're calling the Easy Crypto School. That basically says it all right there. It's easy, and it's a crypto school, and it's going to tell you if you don't know anything about how to get started, or maybe if you know a little bit, but you want to make sure you're doing it right, you can get this. And you've also put together a code for this one where you can type in WLT39, go to easycryptoschool.com, type in the promo code WLT39, and you're going to get access to, this is really like a training course, right, Bo? It's got modules, and it's going to take you through step by step. If you want to get started and you don't know how, it's going to tell you step 1, step 2, all the way to the end, and you can get in there and learn it. And again, if you want to stick around, if you find it valuable, stick around. If you don't like it, then you don't have to stay. What did I miss there, Bo? Tell people about what this is and who it's for.
Exactly. It's very simple. We've created a program because people had so many questions. So what I came down to after all my years of doing this, I realized there's only 7 steps. There's really 7 steps to getting in on crypto to ultimately storing them safely. So there's numerous steps that you need to take, particularly with certain coins. So the essence of it, and it's like, if you don't do all the steps, you really haven't completed the process. That's a problem. So many people are halfway through the process and they've never got to the final step because they don't know they're missing something. But the essence of cryptocurrencies in general is, if you don't own the keys, if you don't have them stored up safely, they're not yours. So there's a lot of steps that people are, there's steps people are definitely missing who are even involved in crypto. So use the code WLT39. It reduces the cost of $80. We basically bring it down to $39, and you basically get all the steps to not mess up. I promise you, over all these years, Noah, I have coins that I've lost on exchanges that are worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just because I've lost coins on exchanges, sending things and doing things messed up when I was learning this stuff. So there's a lot of mistakes to be made. So you don't want to make mistakes. That's what I would tell you. Don't mess up. We've got my son made short little video clips for each exact step. So each 7 steps that, we've got little video steps along the way. It's so simple if you follow the steps. So for those who know nothing about crypto, at least you will be getting your feet wet, and you'll have all the steps along the way. So that's the answer.
That's perfect. Bo, one more question, and then I want to thank you so much for your gracious time today. So we'll let you go here in just a minute, but I always like to ask you one question, maybe about a specific coin, or do a fun little teaser. And I know you can't give away all your info because people are paying for that, and you want to be fair to your subscribers. But I thought it might be fun. Last time when I had you on, we talked about Divi, D-I-V-I, and you gave everybody your opinion on that coin. That is not one of the coins that you're currently following in your report. So it was fun to talk about that, and you looked at the charts and shared that. So if you missed it, go back and look at that interview last time Bo was on the show. But I thought it'd be fun to take another one and just do a little live reading of the charts on the interview today. And right in the middle of the screen there, you've got all the coins that you cover in your report. Right in the middle is the infamous X for the infamous XRP and the XRP Army. So I thought we'd take a moment and we'd give a little shout out to the XRP Army out there. And I don't think you're necessarily a fan of the Army, Bo, but I thought it would be fun. You can still analyze the charts without maybe it being your favorite coin. And it is a coin that you cover every month, every time you publish your report. So the reason I wanted to ask you about it is there's a lot of chatter online from a lot of the big from a lot of the big channels that cover XRP that there's going to be a settlement in this SEC lawsuit. And so I thought I would ask you, and the people are saying there's going to be a settlement in October coming for XRP with the SEC, and that may lead the coin to shooting up. And I just thought I'd ask you, how does that line up with the cycles? What do you see for that coin we're in the chart?
So to me, events are really not that important because the cycle already has the event built into it. Does that make sense? So like cycles precede events.
Sure.
And, I write that in all my reports. I think it's even on my website. All cycles precede events. And so to me, the answer to any question on a coin is I would just look at the coin, look at its pattern, look at its similarity to that of Bitcoin. And then I can give you like my best idea. And the reason I follow XRP is just because they were right. There's a lot of people that just, are just adamant that is the best coin in the world. Okay. There's not the best coin in the world. Okay. It's a good coin, but just okay, first off, all the X coins are all the banker coins for the most part. Okay. So if it's other than X, it's probably a banker coin. So, you just, that's one thing you kind of be aware of.
XLM.
Yeah,
XRP.
and so so why do they all have X's in front of and the problem with all these coins is Tim's going to give you 1,000 reasons why XRP is the best coin in the world, and I don't want to argue the point. The thing about XRP is it doesn't from my perspective is it doesn't have like a finite amount like Bitcoin, for example, that only has 21 million. But whatever, if people love XRP, great for them. It's great for them, and it's all good. I look at the coin itself, and its pattern is similar to that of Bitcoin. Because its pattern is similar to that of Bitcoin, just like Bitcoin turned up on September 29th. And that cycle indicated that the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, was supposed to turn up on September 29th, and it precisely did. And so did XRP. So XRP itself is mimicking and following the movement of Bitcoin, the granddaddy. Okay. So XRP is going to have a very strong move coming here into the end of the year. So I hate doing price targets because to me more important is the cycle. All I see is that Bitcoin is going to explode vertical, and therefore so is XRP, regardless of any of these settlement issues. So Bitcoin is going to do a very powerful moonshot this year, and so is XRP. So for Bitcoin, XRP currently is trading just over $1. Easy $5 is coming, and depending on how big the explosion is, it can go a heck of a lot higher. So there's big numbers coming for all the alternate coins, including Bitcoin and all the alternate coins. And XRP is going to have a very strong year. I don't have a final price target, but I have a time point when Ripple should be topping out. And so at that time point, that would be the kind of the price point. But we won't know that until a little bit later this year. So, but I can tell you, so there's nothing wrong with the coin. It's got a very promising future.
Okay, there you go. There is your insight for the XRP army. Currently at $1. Bo says looks like $5 in the charts easy by the end of the year, and maybe a lot more than that. So take with that and do what you will. So Bo,
none of that's advice. It's just my opinion at looking at the charts, and I'm not telling anybody anything what to do.
and we'll say that one more time here at the end. Bo is not a financial advisor. Neither am I. Bo is an analyst of time, and he looks at these charts and he finds the cycles in the charts and the cycles in our world, and then he publishes what he sees. And you can do with that what you will, and I am doing with that what I want to do. So you should do the same thing. So if you want more info, if you want to find out that turn date that Bo thinks maybe not the dollar amount, but when he thinks the market's going to be topping, that date is coming. And if you want to get that, you can get his report, sign up for his report, and don't pay full price. Make sure you plug in WLT49. You'll get a discount on it, and you can start to see those dates. So Bo, I want to wrap it up here. You've been on for a long time today, longer than we planned to go, but when we start talking, it just gets to be so much fun, and we love having you on the show. So thanks for coming back. We're going to have you back on either later in the month or definitely by November, because we're going to have a lot to talk about. So let me zoom out.
One last thing also is page 75 for those interested. Anybody living out east, Frederick, Maryland, I will be speaking October 28th through the 30th at Patriots Rise for God and Country. So should be a fun event, and yeah, just some for some East Coast people. So there you go. But yeah, so thanks, Noah, for having me on. I appreciate it. I probably love what you do, Noah. You are passionate. I love your name. The whole thing is prophetic. So being here with you is very powerful, and I'm excited for our world. I feel bad for a lot of people who are going to have a mass awakening. But it's all necessary. And, for those that feel pinned up against the Red Sea right now with the spears coming at you, know that there is hope.
That's the final word, Bo. Thank you. If you want to see Bo live, go to patriotsariseevent.com, grab some tickets. You can see Bo in person. Sounds like an awesome event if you're on the East Coast, or if you want to travel to the East Coast. So go check that out. Bo, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll see you again soon.